Hello everyone, myself in Rajeshwari. I am working as contract lecturer in electrical department in Government Polytechnic, Cherial College. I am dealing with the subject electrical power system for diploma students of fourth semester. Today I will discuss about the hydroelectric power station in hydroelectric power and nuclear power station topic. Before going to explain hydroelectric power station, in previous classes, I discussed about the nuclear power station, solar, and uh, thermal power stations. Today, we will discuss about the hydroelectric power station. So, in that, already I explained what are the hydropower plants, the fuel of hydroelectric power station, and site selection for the hydroelectric power station. So, today, the operation and working of hydroelectric power station. So operation of hydroelectric power station or power plant. The dam is constructed across a river or lake, and the water from the catchment area collects at the back of the dam to form a reservoir. So this is a catchment area for uh, hydroelectric power plant. In this catchment area, the reservoir is constructed before a dam, back of the dam. A pressure tunnel is taken off from the reservoir and water brought to the valve house at the start of the penstock. So this is the pressure channel. This is the penstock arrangement. Before penstock, a valve house is constructed. So through this pressure channel, water is released in this penstock through the valve house. So this is the dam construction, this is the reservoir, and this is the pressure channel. And so this will be the surge tank placed here before the wall house. And from the after wall house, a pipe is constructed to the powerhouse, that is penstock, and this is the powerhouse, and remaining this part is river. So this is the schematic diagram or arrangement of hydroelectric power plant. And the valve house contains main sluice valves and the automatic isolating valves. The former controls the water flow to the powerhouse, and the latter cuts off the supply of the water and when the penstock bursts. So this is the effect of water hammer effect. If a huge water is going to the penstock, the former controls of water flow to the powerhouse, and the latter cuts off the supply of the water when the penstock is burst. From the wall house, water is taken into the water turbine through the huge steel pipe, that is penstock. So this is the penstock from this wall house to penstock. The water is taken into this turbine inbuilt in the powerhouse. The water turbine converts hydraulic energy into mechanical energy. Then the turbine drives the alternator, which converts mechanical energy into electrical energy. Before the turbine, the hydraulic water source or hydraulic energy is converted into mechanical energy. So the turbine takes the mechanical energy and it coupled with the generator. It drives the generator or alternator so that this mechanical energy is converted into electrical energy with the help of alternator. And coming to the hydrograph graph between, this is a graph. The hydrograph is a graph drawn between the discharge versus time curve of the water flow. So this is a discharge in millions of cubic meters per month, and this is a months. So this is the time versus a discharge curve. So that is called as hydrograph. it shows the variation of river flow with time. So in month, what is the variation of river flow with the time, that is months, and it may be plotted based on the data of weeks, months, and even years also. And the discharge on y-axis and time is taken as an x-axis, and draws between discharge and time, we'll get this hydrograph. And the importance of hydrograph is the hydrograph gives discharge available at different times, that is day, week, or month, or year, like that. So this will give the discharge available at different times of different times, that are different days, or different weeks, or different months, or different years. And maximum and minimum runoff can also be studied with this hydrograph, and it gives mean runoff value, and it helps in studying the effects of storage and flow. The area under hydrograph gives total volume of the water for given duration. So this is a runoff or discharge, and this is a day 1 and day 2. So 12 to approximately 1 day, and this is also 1 day, day 1 and day 2. Storm runoff and normal flow. So these are the peak rainfalls, and this is the lag time between these two, from peak rainfall to peak discharge. And this is the approach segment, and this is the rising limb, and this is the falling limb. So this also will take the precipitation in y-axis. So this is the area under the hydrograph, is gives the total volume of the water for the durations, the particular given durations. This is the importance of hydrograph. And coming to the flow duration curve. So the flow duration curve is a plot of discharge versus percentage of time for which the discharge is available. So it is obtained from hydrograph data. So the flow or discharge can be expressed as cubic meters per second per week or other unit of time. So this is a flow discharge or flow duration curve, which is plot between the discharge versus percentage of its time. And this flow duration curve is also known as power duration curve. Coming to the mass curve, it is a plot of cumulative volume of the water that can be stored in the form of a stream flow versus time. So cumulative flow or stream flow versus time in weeks or days or months. And it shows the mass curve, maximum intercept between the line AB and mass curve is known as reservoir capacity. This will AB curve or AB line. So in that, this is the reservoir capacity for mass curve to this line. This will give the reservoir capacity, and slope of the mass curve at a point gives the rate of inflow at that instant only. So this is about the mass curve and flow duration curve and also hydrograph. Coming to the hydraulic energy. So the power that can be that is obtainable from a stream depends primarily on the two factors. These are head and flow. So it is mainly depends on two factors. One is head and another one is a flow. So in the first one, the head is the vertical height from the top of the penstock to the bottom of the penstock. So that is the head of the vertical height of penstock, and bottom. When larger the head, higher will be the speed of the turbine, and larger will be the power output. So if we'll take high heads or larger heads, then higher will be the speed of the turbine, so that larger will be the power output we will get. And the flow is the volume of the water which flows in 1 second. The energy is given by mgh. M is the mass of the water in kgs. G is the acceleration due to the gravity, that is 9.81 meters per second square. And h is the height or head in meters. And the energy, another formula for hydraulic energy is rho qgh joules, where rho is the density of water in kg per meter cube, and q is the discharge in meter cube, and g is the acceleration due to gravity, that is 9.81 meter per second square, and h is the height in meters. If the density of water is considered and also discharge is considered, this formula will useful for find out the energy. And coming to the power, rho into dq by dt into gh watts, where rho is the density of water in kg per meter cube. dq by dt is the rate of the discharge in meter cube per second, and g is the acceleration due to the gravity, that is 9.81 meter per second square, and h is the height in meter. So 1 kilowatt hour is equal to 1000 watts into 3600 seconds, which is given by 3.6 into 10 to the power of 6 watt seconds are joules. And coming to the components of hydroelectric power station or power plant. So the various components of hydro power plant is as follows. One is catchment area, and the second one is a reservoir, third is the dam, and next one is spillways, and next thing is conduits and surge tanks, penstocks and prime movers, draft tubes, powerhouse, tailways, and switchyard for power evacuation. So these are the main components of hydro power plant. This is the constructional diagram for hydroelectric power plant. So this is a catchment area before the dam or back of the dam. So this is the catchment area, nothing but the reservoir, and this is the dam and sluice gate or valve, and this is the surge tank, 10 stack, and this is the inlet valve for turbine. So this is the turbine, and this is coupled with the alternator. This alternator it will connected to the three-phase supply. This is a draft tube and this is the tailways. So from this transformer is placed in here after the alternator, and this is coupled. This is connected to the bus bars to transmit the supply. The components of water plant or hydroelectric plant, in that first thing is a catchment area. In this catchment area, the catchment area of hydropower plant is the whole area behind the dam and draining into the stream or river across which the dam has been built at the suitable place. So this is the catchment area back of the dam, and this is nothing but a reservoir placed here. So in this catchment area, reservoir is constructed here. In this is the catchment area for water hydroelectric power plant. So catchment area, nothing but a hydro plant is a whole area behind the dam, and it is a draining into a stream or river across which the dam has been built at the suitable place of the river. So that is catchment area. And the second classification, second component is reservoir. So the reservoir is nothing but all of the water available from the catchment area is collected in a reservoir behind the dam. And the purpose of storing water in the reservoir is to get the uniform power output throughout the year. And a reservoir can be either natural or artificial. And a natural reservoir is a lake in high mountains, and an artificial reservoir is made by the constructing the dam across the river. So the natural reservoir is a lake for high mountains, and if artificial means it is constructed with the person back of the dam or across the river. The main purpose of this reservoir is nothing but the storing of water in the reservoir, and also it is to get a uniform power output throughout the year. We use these reservoirs. And coming to the dam, a dam is built across a river for two functions. One is to impound the river water for storage and to create the head of the water. So for these two functions, we will build the dam across the river. So one is to impound the river water for storage, and also second thing is to create the head of water. And dams may be classified according to their structural materials such as timber, steel, earth, rock, filled, or masonry. And timber and steel are used for dams of height 6 meter to 12 meters only. The head is 6 meter to 12 meters. And earth dams are built for longer heights or larger heights up to about 100 meters. These are the earth dams, and steel and timber for the head of 6 to 12 meters only. And coming to the spillways, these are the spillways. When the water enters the reservoir basin, the level of water rises, and to relieve this excess water, a structure is provided in the body of dam or near the dam or on the periphery of the dam. So the safeguarding structure is called spillways. So if water entering into the reservoir basin means a level of water will rises, and to relieve these excess water, one structure is used provided in body of dam or near the dam or on the periphery of the dam. So with this structure is called as spillways. And coming to the conduit, headrace is a channel which leads water to the turbine, and the tailways is a channel which conduits water from the wheels. So headrace means a channel which leads the water to the turbine, and the tailways is a channel which conducts water from the wheels. So the conduit may be open or closed. So open conduit means canals and fumes, and closed conduit is tunnels and pipelines. So this is one of conduit. So if headrace is a channel from water to the turbine, which leads the water to the turbine, and a tailways is nothing but water from the wheels. So next thing is a surge tank. This is the surge tank. placed here after the reservoir from on the pressure tunnel. The surge tank is constructed in between the pen stack and valve house. And the surge tank open from the top is built just before the valve house and protects the penstock from the bursting in case of the turbine gates suddenly close due to electric load being thrown off. If supply is closed or off condition, the turbine gates is will close. So in that condition, water coming to this flowing through the water in the penstock will suddenly stopped, and it will huge amount of water in this penstocks and it will burst. So in order to eliminate this thing, we will construct a surge tank over open from the top, and it is built before the wall house to protect the penstock. When the gates close, there is a sudden stopping of water at the lower end of the penstock, and consequently the penstock can burst like a paper log. The surge tank absorbs this pressure swing by increase in its level of water. So, surge tank is a small reservoir in which the water level rises or falls to reduce the pressure swings so that they are not transmitted to the penstock. So, by protection of penstock and avoiding the bursting of penstock, we will construct a small reservoir that is called surge tank before the valve house. So these are the penstocks. This is the valve house. Before the valve house, before that surge tank is placed, these are the penstocks. So the penstocks are open or closed conduits which carry water to the turbines. So these are carrying water to these turbines. So they are generally made of reinforced concrete or steel. Concrete penstocks are suitable for low heads that is less than 30 meters, as greater pressure causes rapid deterioration of concrete. The steel penstocks can be designed for any head. The thickness of penstock increases with the head or working pressure. So these are the penstocks. Concrete penstocks are suitable for less than 30 meters. Generally, reinforced concrete or steel penstocks are made for this high heads. The various devices such as automatic butterfly valve, air valve, and such tanks are provided for the protection of penstocks. And automatic butterfly valve sheds off water flow through the penstock promptly if it ruptures. An air valve maintains the air pressure inside the penstock equal to outside atmospheric pressure. And when the water runs out of a penstock faster than it enters, a vacuum is created which may cause the penstock to collapse. So under such conditions or situations, air valve open and admits the air into the penstock to maintain inside air pressure equal to the outside air pressure. So these are the butterfly valves or air valve or surge tanks, which are provided for the protection of penstocks. And coming to the prime mover. So the prime mover converts the energy of water into mechanical energy and further into electrical energy. So these are classified into impulse and reaction turbines. So before the prime mover, the water enter into the prime movers, that are turbines. These turbines will convert water energy or energy of water into mechanical energy, and after that this mechanical energy is given to the alternator for the production of electrical energy. And these are two types: impulse and reaction turbines. And this is the draft tubes. After the pen stack, this draft tube is constructed. So the draft tube serves two purposes. It allows the turbine to be set above tail water level without loss of head, and it regains by diffuser action the majority of kinetic energy delivered to it from the runner. So for these two purposes, we use this draft tube. Coming to the powerhouse. So the powerhouse is a building in which the turbines or alternators and the auxiliary plants are housed in this powerhouse. So turbine connection with alternator and also auxiliary plant is housed in this powerhouse. So this is a building constructed for housing of these turbines and alternators and auxiliary plants. This is a tail race. So tail race is required to discharge the water leaving the turbine into the river. So this is going to river. This water is going to this river. And the design of tail race should be such that water has a free exit. So after the process, this tail race is required to discharge and the water leaving from the turbine into the river. So this is the tail race. And these hydro projects or plants are classified according to their heads and load and water availability of the water. So the hydroelectric plants are classified in according to based on the available head, and second is based on the nature of load and based on quantity of water availability. According to the availability of water head, these are classified into low head plant. Head is up to 30 meters, and a sideway stream diverges from the river at the dam, and the vertical shaft Francis or Kaplan turbines are used commonly for this low head power plant. And coming to the second classification, medium head power plant. So this head is from in between 30 to 70 meters, and it uses a Francis turbine, and water is carried in open canals from the main reservoirs to forebay and then to powerhouse through penstock. The high head plants are classified as 71 to 500 meters head, and water is stored in the lake over the mountain during high rainy seasons or when snow melts. So Pelton wheel turbine is used in this case. And low head or canal power plants are shown in this figure. Is the layout for the low head power plant. Use gate and canal. This is the dam. This is the river, and this is the forebay, powerhouse, and railways. So dam is built on the river, and the water is diverted into a canal. Which conveys the water into a forebay. And from where the water is allowed to flow through the turbines. After this, the water is again discharged into the river through a tail race at the mouth of the canal. Head gates are fitted to control the flow in the canal before the water enters the turbines from the forebay. It is made to flow through the screens or trash racks so that no suspended matter goes into the turbines. If there is any excess of water due to increased flow in the river or due to decrease the load on the plant, and it will flow over the top of the dam or a waste uh, can be constructed along the forebay so that the excess water flows over it into the river. For periodic cleaning and repair of the canal and the forebay, a drain gate is provided on the side of the waste wave, and the head gate is closed and the drain gate is open so that the whole water is drawn from the forebay and the canal for cleaning and repair. So this is all about the low head or canal power plants. And coming to the medium head power plants, it is used if the head of the water available more than 50 meters, then the water from the forebay is conveyed to the turbine through the penstocks. So this is the reservoir, a river, trash rack, and the inlet sluice gate, dam, a forebay or surge tank. So this is the penstock arrangement, and this is the inlet for inlet valve, and this is the turbine. So this total arrangement is powerhouse. This is a draft tube, and this turbine is a Francis turbine. After this, this is the tail race. So this is the medium head power plant layout. In these plants, the river is usually tapped off to a forebay on one bank of the river, as in the case of flow of in the case of low head plant. From the forebay, the water is then led to the turbines through the penstock. In medium head power stations, from this to the turbine, it will reach through the penstocks. And coming to the high head power plants, so in case of high head power plants, the water from the reservoir can be taken to a smaller storage known as a forebay by means of tunnels. And from the forebay, the water is then distributed to the penstock. And the function of forebay is to distribute the water to the penstocks leading to the turbines. So this is a high head power plant, and this is the spillways. So after spillway, the reservoir is constructed, and this is the headworks. After that, this is the tunnel. In the tunnel, this is after the tunnels, one surge tank is surge chamber is placed. After that, a valve house, penstock, and this is the powerhouse. And the main dam, spillways, and powerhouse stand at widely separated locations. The water flows from the reservoir through the tunnel and penstocks to the turbines. And the inflow to the forebay is so regulated that the level in the forebay remains nearly constant. And the turbines will thus be fed with the with under a constant static head. So thus the forebays help to regulate the demand of water according to the load on the turbines. And in the wall house, the butterflies walls or the sluice type walls control the water flow in the penstocks, and these walls are electrically driven. And the gate walls are also there in the powerhouse to control the water flow through the turbines. And after that, flowing through the tile turbines, and the water is discharged to the railways. So these are the three types of uh, power plants, that is low head power plant, medium and high head power plants. And the another classification according to the load characteristics. According to the load characteristics, there are base load and peak load power plants. Coming to the base load power plants, the plants supplying base load, which is generally constant and runs without stop, are known as base load plants. And these are a greater capacity plants. And the example of base load plants are run-off river and storage type of power plants. These are used as base load power plants. And coming to this next thing is a peak load load plants. So these peak load plants, these are the plants supply power at the peak load time. And when the load is more than the average load, the runoff river plants with pondage and pumped storage plants are used as peak load plants, and they store water during off peak time and supplies for peak hours. So these are called as peak load plants, and the load factor is low compared to the base load plants because these are used only in the peak hours or peak time during the off peak time. And coming to the classification according to quantity of water. So in this, there are four types of waters. Uh, Classification is there. So one is runoff river plants with and without pondage, and storage plants and pumped storage plants, and also mini and micro hydel plants. So according to the quantity of water, the runoff river plants are runoff river plants may be classified into two types: runoff river plants without pondage and runoff river plant with pondage. So this is the runoff river plant layout. So the runoff river plant without pondage is shown in this figure. This plant does not store water and uses the water as it comes. When it comes water, then only it will use, because without pondage or without storage, we will run this power plant. So there is no control on the flow of water, so that during high floods or low loads, water is wasted, while during low runoff plant capacity is considerably reduced in this runoff river plant without pondage. And this is due to non-uniformity of supply, the lack of assistance from the firm capacity, and the utility of these plants is much less than those of other types. The head on which these plants work varies considerably, and during the good flow conditions, these plants may cater to the base load of the system. And when flow reduces, they may supply the peak demands only. So this is about runoff river plant without pondage or storage. And coming to the second classification, runoff river plant with pondage. So in that runoff river plant with pondage uses storage of water behind the dam at the plant, and it increases the stream capacity for the short period, say 1 week. And the storage means the collection of water in upstream reservoirs, and thus this increases the capacity of the stream over extended period of several months. And coming to the storage type of plant, that is the reservoir type. So this is the reservoir type power plant, headwater pond, and these are the same as above classifications. Powerhouse, turbine, the tail race, and generators. So a storage type of plant is one with a reservoir of sufficiently large size to permit carry over storage from the wet region to the dry region, and therefore water supply is substantially constant and more than the minimum natural flow of water. This plant can be used as base load plant as well as peak load plant, as water is available with control when it is required. A simple storage plant is shown in this figure, and it consists of a reservoir, a dam with penstock powerhouse arrangements, and the powerhouse is placed at the top of the dam, and the water is allowed to store the reservoir from the river or lake in sufficient quantity, and the water flows from the dam through the penstock when gate is open to powerhouse. In this powerhouse, water with high pressure enters into the turbine to generate power. After doing the work, water is allowed to flow to the tail race. And Pelton wheel turbine is common prime mover used in such power plants. And pumped storage plants, the pumped storage plant is shown in this figure. And these pumped storage plants are used at the places where the quantity of water available for power generation is low, because already storage is we store the water for continuous process, and here the water passing through the turbine is stored in tail race pond, and during the low load periods, this water is drawn back to the head reservoir and applying extra energy available. So this is a tail water pond. This is a pump to the head water pond, and extra for applying the extra energy availability. And coming to the pumped storage plants, this water can be reused for generating power during peak load periods. The pumping of water may be done seasonally or regular depending upon the conditions of site and the nature of load on the plant. A simple construction of a stored hydropower plant is shown in this figure. It consists of headwater, pond, and a dam, penstock connected powerhouse with pumps and turbines, and tail race pond with dam. And that water from the headwater pond is supplied to the powerhouse through the penstock, where turbines are rotated for power generation. From the turbine, the water is discharged into tail race pond, and the water stored in this tail race pond is pumped back to the head reservoir with the help of pump during low periods. So this is a again this will send to waterhead pond, and this water is again used for power generation during the peak load hours. And such plants are usually interconnected with steam or diesel power plants, so that off-peak capacity of interconnecting stations is used in pumping water, and the same is used during peak load periods. So coming to the advantages of storage power plants or pumped storage power plants, there is a substantial increase in peak load capacity and increased operating efficiency. It can be used as both base load plant and peak load plant. The plant remain uniform and improved load factor. So these are the advantages of pumped storage power plants. And mini and micro hydel plants. The hydropower plants working with 5 to 25 meters head are known as mini hydel plants, and the hydel power plants working with the heads of less than 5 meters head is known as micro hydel plants. So these plants can generate power ranging from the 100 kilowatts to 5 megawatts with a period of 1.5 years. These plants having a small reservoir with a dam and a small capacity powerhouse using bulb turbines with a straight diverging tube act as draft tube, and the water flows from a small reservoir to a small penstock into the turbine in powerhouse and generates the power. After generation, the power of water is discharged into tailors through the draft tubes. So microhydel plants make use of standardized bulb sets with unit output ranging from 100 to 1000 kilowatts, working under heads between 1.5 to 5 meters. So microhydel plants has a capacity less than 5 megawatts, and medium capacity plants, it is a 5 mega in between 5 megawatts to 100 megawatts, and high capacity plants 101 megawatts to 1000 megawatts is usually classified as a high capacity plant, and the super hydro plants are a capacity greater than 100 megawatts. So these are the comparisons of hydrothermal and nuclear power plants. So investment per kilowatt is high in hydro, thermal lower, and nuclear very high. Fuel cost is lower in hydro and thermal high. It is very high in nuclear. Operating and maintenance cost is low in hydro, high and very high in nuclear. Energy cost is low, and energy cost is high in thermal, and it is very high in nuclear. Transmission line is long, transmission lines shorter, and in nuclear also shorter. And building time is long, and this is the lower, and this is also long for nuclear. And lifetime is a long lifetime, and this is small, and nuclear for medium. So these are the comparisons between three types of power plants. So this is all about today's class. We will meet in the next class with another topic. This is all for today's class. Thank you.